I rented the ice rink at 3 a.m. What the Zamboni refused to smooth. I didn't rent the rink because I wanted to skate. I rented it because ice is honest in a way carpet never learned to be. Our city rink is a stubborn building, concrete ribs, metal lungs, lighting that flatters nobody. It's where teenagers test balance and old men confess to each other in sentences that end with anyway. If you've ever helped the manager jump a dead battery in January without making a speech about it, he'll remember. I had, so when I called just before midnight, Marty cleared the schedule between Zamboni passes. 40 minutes, he said. No trials after 2. He handed me a ring of keys that had outlived several mayors, and pointed to a door with a window fogged by everybody who's ever waited their turn. At 11:41 p.m. my phone delivered the sentence my marriage has turned into a competent genre. Loadout ran late, team grabbed a drink, might crash at the office. Don't wait up. Eva doesn't lie. She arranges. She can make a donor believe in public libraries and a storm apologize for timing. For a year we'd been excellent at mercy and timid with appetite. The person who made that dangerous is predictable. The operations lead with gaffer in his tote and patience in his shoulders. His name is Jonah. He stands exactly one respectful step from married women, and rooms behave better when he's inside them. I admire him at noon. At 1 a.m. my neck votes. I unlocked the player bench door and stepped into air that had a temperature you could see. The Zamboni had left the rink shining like a promise nobody should trust. I didn't turn on the music. I liked the industrial hum, the far-off compressor clearing its throat, the antiquated scoreboard refusing to forget the last game it watched. I put 2 paper cups on the dasher board, steam rising like modest opinions, and waited where the plexiglass curves decide whether they want to forgive force. They came down the tunnel at 12:09, a duet of footfalls that knew better than to be dramatic. Eva first, hair pinned in the shape competence requires, coat that looked like a confession it would keep for you. Jonah behind her, sleeves shoved, tote at his hip, eyes doing that perimeter math men who carry after midnight are paid to do. He saw me and did the small nod good men offer husbands they hope not to become the villain of. He stopped at the rubber mat that keeps skates from ruining the floor, and put his palms out like a man who intends to be useful and refused. An ice rink, Eva said, half a smile, half inventory. Of course. I wanted a room where slipping doesn't count as betrayal, I said. Say it. In an elevator, she said, because apparently the universe enjoys self-plagiarism. 2 weeks ago, between floors and nouns, I kissed him, quick, mint, rehearsal. He stepped back. He said my name like a lock. I hated him for being the adult. I hated me for liking that he was. Do you want me to hit him? I asked, because fury needs a collar even when you don't put a leash on it. I want you to choose me, she said, not rescue appetite. Jonah's gaze rested on the goal mouth like he hoped rules could be furniture. Need me? He asked her, not me. I need you exactly there, she said, indicating a spot half in shadow, half in witness, as if she were laying tape on a stage. If I want less distance, I'll use your name. He obeyed. Good men do. It keeps them employable and makes them complicated to complain about. I stepped out onto the ice without skates, rubber soles against cold glass. The body remembers childhood math, weight over hips, knees conceding their pride. Eva followed, careful, both hands loose at her sides like Mercy had finally asked for work. Her breath made small ghosts that auditioned for parts neither of us was casting. Invite me when you're interesting, I said. Not just when you're frightened you'll be easier to love in other lighting. I am inviting you, she said, and came close enough for the air to vote. I put my hand at the back of her neck and pressed my thumb into the notch I've kept since the apartment with the radiator that sang. I kissed her. Jurisdiction, not apology. She answered like a woman who had made 100 strangers behave and wanted 4 minutes where someone else's mouth was the room. My other hand slid along her ribs to where fabric insists the world still exists. I stopped because laws deserve loyalty when they are the only furniture holding you up. She took my lower lip gently, a brief theft with generous intentions, then laughed, soft, because the ice amplified small happiness more than tile ever could. "Do you still want to hit him?" she asked into my cheek, not looking away. "I want to thank him for stepping back," I said, "and I want to owe him nothing else." "That I can live with," she answered. Behind us the scoreboard clicked once, some old circuit rediscovering its pulse. We stood near the face-off dot, two reasonable people doing a foolish, survivable thing. She told me the truth I didn't earn and she didn't owe. The kiss had been curiosity dressed as courage. The stopping was the only part she liked in daylight. Tonight's almost had felt like the elevator door practicing her name. I told her about the motel I circled in a rental like a satellite that had forgotten what orbits are for, the key I didn't ask for, the laugh I crushed out alone in the car, because even my worst stories prefer good lighting. Jonah cleared his throat in the polite key. "Loadin' at 9, he said, eyes on the center line. "The truck wants 4 backs and 0 speeches." He didn't move. He made himself into a respectful distance and let us be the problem we were prepared to own. We shuffled to the bench and sat where teenage knees learn humiliation. Eva blew into her hands and looked at the ice like it owed her footnotes. "I almost sent you proof," she said. "Screenshots, timestamps. I almost made the elevator the villain so I wouldn't have to be brave. Instead, I texted you the sentence that keeps marriages technically edible and came here." "Thank you for lying less than you could have," I said, which is how our city says I still believe in us. We walked the blue line like a tightrope, our shoes erasing and making prints at the same time. The compressor kicked. A skate guard clattered on some forgotten shelf the way memory does. I took her hand the way people do who have to reapply for the job they already hold. "Do something foolish," she said, "but survivable." I did the only foolish thing the rink approved of. I took a scratchy rental stick from the rack, slid a puck onto the ice with my shoe, and tapped it gently toward the empty goal. It slid with infinite modesty, kissed the post, and shrugged into the net. We laughed with the kind of relief you get when fate decides to be cooperative in small, repairable ways. I passed the stick to her. She took a shot that was all wrist and 0 pretense. The puck obeyed, as if reminded why rules were invented. "2 for 2, she said. "Let's retire legends while they like us." We climbed back onto the rubber and let our temperatures admit their mistakes. I poured us both coffee and watched steam respect the ceiling. "Invite me to your daylight," I said. "Not just your midnight. I want to stand where you stand when rooms listen to you." "Stand there then," she said, "and don't make me carry the van by myself at 9. The Zamboni roared awake behind the doors, a beast clearing its throat. Marty jabbed a thumb at his wristwatch through the glass. I nodded. We had spent the hour we could afford, and the city wanted its surface back. On the way out, Jonah touched the boards like a man thanking a tool for being well designed. He glanced at me and found the sentence men exchange when they intend to keep being allowed in other people's stories without stealing them. "Coffee at 9, he said. "Coffee at 9, I agreed. The air outside had decided finally which direction to be cold. We walked home in that post-drink silence that arrives when your lungs remember they were built for more than email. At the corner she stopped, pressed 2 fingers to my wrist, daylight legal, and something moved in my chest that could only be described as obedience to a better map. At 9, The community center smelled like lemons spelling competence. Jonah stacked tables with the modest inevitability that makes gravity behave. I carried the other end and let my neck accept jurisdiction from the sun. Eva moved through the room with a clipboard, and a mouth volunteers obey without hatting themselves. When she passed me, she touched my wrist again, public precise, and the morning chose us without ceremony. During break, I set a paper cup near Jonah's elbow. "Thanks for being the adult in the elevator," I said. "Thanks for renting a room that wouldn't lie," he said. He didn't look up. He didn't need to. Some truces survive best when they're typed in small font. We loaded the truck without speeches. Tape squealed. Cables coiled into patience. Gravity agreed to be negotiated for one more day. We never told anyone about the rink. We didn't need to. We taped a retired skate laced to the side of our fridge under the magnet shaped like a ridiculous boat we bought one summer we didn't ruin. Sometimes when the house auditions for courtroom, we walk to the rink after closing and watch the Zamboni smooth out whatever arguments children left behind. Sometimes she texts come and means stand next to me while I bend a room into competence and beauty. Sometimes I text come and mean watch me be a body before I become a plan. Sometimes we bring 2 coffees and stand by the plexiglass while a youth team skates drills the way vows wish they could. Repetitive, shaped, hopeful. We didn't stop admiring other people's competence. We did stop confusing it with permission. Heat is a temperature, not a verdict. Ice is a witness who refuses to grandstand. It keeps score without rumor and gives everyone the same friction tax. We eat before we try to win. We sleep when the clock loses its manners. We put our hands on each other in daylight like the sun still issues licenses. And when the gossiping part of the city asks whether we have anything to add, we hand it a puck and say this: "We paid for an hour of surface and used it to prove the difference between sliding and falling. No trials after 2. Choose each other before the elevator decides. And if you must skate without blades, go slow and keep your hands open. So when the person you love reaches out, you remember which part of you was built for balance instead of theater."